Hello, 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 lovely people. Hello to you. I hope that you are well. This is Nicole from NicoleMLouis.com, and I'm the social worker strategy mentor, which means I hold your hand through the process of starting and developing your independent practice. I'm super excited to be here with you. It's our final day of a 3-day challenge that I have created to help social workers become independent. Now, if you have registered, you would have received the 5 simple steps to start your independent practice, as well as the transitioning to ISW status workbook. That they go hand in hand, and they have been drip fed for 5 days. We're now on the 3rd day for you to dive deep in. So I've done this 3-day challenge just to kind of get you going and get you started, because we had an influx of social workers joining the Launchers Club, which is my email list. So I'm really excited to be here. So 3 days have gone really quickly. And the first day we looked at mindset. I'm going to just recap over the last 2 days. The first day we looked at was all about mindset, talking about some of the secondary trauma we experienced, the experience of failure, and our desires to move forward, but sometimes are held back by the imposter syndrome and from life generally. And so we spoke about the importance of being really clear about where we are and how we can manage the imposter syndrome so that it's not holding us back, and having the understanding that we need to change our mindset when we start running our own business. And indeed, once we start running our own business, our mindset does start to change, because we have to. It's just a natural course of developing as we become entrepreneurs. So we spoke about that for the very first day. We dived in deep, and I mentioned that I also have a video about an hour long, 45 minutes, an hour long, all about the imposter syndrome and the steps that I take. And I rinse and repeat these steps to slay the imposter syndrome, because it shows up at all stages of your development. So you want to be ready all the time to slay it. So yesterday we then spoke about getting started, and in that we looked at 6 particular steps that in areas of your life that you need to be looking at to really have in check, be really aware of, to know what's happening in those areas, and having plans in place so that as they crop up on your journey, you're actually able to tackle them. You've got things in place that will manage them, because they will become stumbling blocks. So we spoke about things like finances, your housing environment, we spoke about your support network, we spoke about what else? We spoke about work, we spoke about your attachment, we spoke about your health and your emotional health. We spoke about quite a few different areas, because they flag up at different points in your independent journey, but they also can pop up repeatedly at different times. Like, we all get triggered, don't we? And so we want to be able to have things in place where we're able to manage all these external variants that will come our way, so that we are not held up, and so we're not blocked from moving forward in achieving the goals that we're trying to achieve. So we spoke about that yesterday, and we also spoke about the services. Once you've kind of got that in place, you're now ready to start doing some thinking about the area in which you want to actually conduct your independent practice as a social worker. It might be a slightly different lane than what you've predominantly done. It might be the lane that you've always worked within. Whatever it is, you need to be passionate about it, because you need to be clear about your why. Why are you going into it? What's the purpose? Who does it benefit? You, the people that you're serving, and how? Because your passion is what's going to keep you going on the days when you're feeling flat and when you're feeling like, what have I got myself into? Okay, so, and we spoke about being really clear about what services you want to provide, what products you want to provide for the people that you're going to be serving, and being really clear that it's not just about what you want to do and what skills and knowledge and expertise you're utilizing, but it's also what do they need, because it's about them ultimately, right? It's about showing up for your people and helping them through some of the most difficult parts and experiences that they're going to have in their life. And so you need to be providing things that are really going to hit the mark and allow them to flourish, because then you flourish as well. And one of the things that I want to mention also that I said yesterday, which is really important, is that when we are serving others, that we're coming from a place of overflow. And so oftentimes as social workers, we can feel very depleted of our energy, of our expertise, of our creativity, because we're really used to working very long hours. We're used to dealing with trauma. We're used to maybe dealing with not feeling appreciated. And so we have to be able to take care of ourselves so that we're able to actually be full, so that we're overflowing, and what we're giving away is the overflow, and so we're not leaving ourselves depleted. And that was something that I really want to make mention of again, so that you remember as you move forward. If there's nothing else you remember, I want you to remember that you should always come from a place of overflow, and that means taking care of yourself in a variety of ways, and having boundaries and doing all things that you need to do, a bit like what I mentioned we went over yesterday, so that you can work from a place of overflow, because that will reap you dividends, and it will give you the longevity you need, and it will free you up psychologically and emotionally to be flexible and be creative and really be there all in for the people that you're serving. So with that said, we're going to move on now, because today we are going to be talking about how you move forward. Exactly that. We're going to be talking about moving on, moving forward, and how do you now take that, when you've decided and figured out what you're actually going to be doing, what your services you're going to be creating, and what products you're going to be providing, so what problems it solves. You're actually then going to be now wanting to think about how you can drive that forward. How can you actually get that up and running? So some of the things that you're going to need is obviously a plan. And for those of you that are my launchers already, some of you already have this, but I created a goal planner and journal book. This is the April to June version, and this is the July to September. So I'm on my second one now. And it basically encapsulates and has a system where you are able to track your personal and your business life, because they are enmeshed and they go together. And so having systems is a really important part of being able to move things forward. It's really, really important that whatever you use, I mean, some people love the phone and they like using their calendar. That helps to an extent, but knowing and having a system that really works for you, that allows you to work and operate at your optimal, and that really understands and accounts for what happens personally and professionally, and allowing you to move forward, is important. So the goal plan and journal that I've created actually has a series of worksheets that allow you to slay your personal goals, whether that's, I mean, one of my goals is hair length. So I'm at the moment, I'm kind of down here and I'm trying to get down my back. So I have a hair regimen section for that, so that I can track that. I have a fitness worksheet in there, weight gain or weight loss tracking. There are lots of different elements. Also for finances, also for business. There are like probably about 10, at least 10 pages that focus specifically on business and personal development and what you're trying to achieve, as well as a system within it that that looks at being able to track your day productively and what you're doing. So that's really important, having a system in place so that you're able to track how you're spending your time, where you're able to draw on time as a margin. So where maybe you might be running late on something, so where can you cut down so that you can get that time back to continue staying on course for that day. All of those steps, day by day, week by week, month by month, allow you to actually achieve your goals and allow you to move forward and be very organized. Now, as social workers, we work within a system. And so the system is pretty much carved out for us, right? They tell us when to turn up. They give us the systems to learn and the IT to get everything done. They provide the templates in which we write our reports and our assessments. When you work for yourself, you create all of those things. You create all your systems, you create your structure, you create the time. And for those of you that joined or watched the replay on day one, you would remember that I said that when I first became independent, the first couple of years was a real struggle in terms of me being very institutionalized and having to remind myself that I'm the boss. And I was putting myself under such immense pressure to perform every day and churn work out and get marketing and learn this and read all these books and in 1 week and all these different things. And it was just so pressurizing. And so I had to take a step back and I had to remind myself and be kind to myself and say, listen, you're the boss here. You answer to nobody else. So you're going to pace yourself and make this work for you. And so I found that I was using lots of different diaries to help track my time. But I found that they weren't really working for me. The systems that I use, I've always used since I was a teenager to crush my goals, has meant that I had to add additional pieces of paper or use notebooks in addition to the planner that I was using and the diary and to-do lists, and it was just too much. And I got fed up and I thought I'm going to create my own one. So I did. And there has been created the Independent Social Workers Goal Planner and Journal. And I've tested it with a small group of social workers, and it went really well. The feedback has been phenomenal in terms of how it's moved them forward and helped them become clear about how they're using their time, having a system that works for them, that allows them the flexibility to have work-life balance and give time to themselves, more importantly. So having a system in place is important, and you're likely to have different systems in your personal life that you're using. And so some of the systems that you're using as a social worker does lend itself well to being able to transfer into life as an independent social worker, but you're going to find you're going to need to tweak it. And I say that because we're used to working with a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of jumping through hoops, a lot of red tape. And one of the things you want to do as an independent social worker is make it really easy for your people to access you, really easy for them to be able to get the service or product from you, and really easy for them to get through the process, whatever you're trying to offer them, so that they experience that positivity, that win, and they're reaching their goals. So in order to do that, it means you're going to have to cut out a lot of things that maybe you're used to doing because it won't be necessary. So you're going to be able to simplify your systems in a great way. And again, it depends on what you're going to be going into, what your service or product is that you're going to be creating or providing, or maybe you're going to be providing a cocktail, a bit like myself, of different ones that will help people at different stages of their journey. Whatever it is, you need to be clear about what systems you're going to use, because that is going to allow you to maximize your time. It's going to allow you to have better time management and utilize your time that is not just effective for you, but it allows you then to create things that make it your clients, it gives a better result for your clients, because when they utilize your service or product, they're going to be getting the best that they can get. And that's what they should be getting. They should be getting the best version of you. So that's the next thing in terms of moving forward, your systems. Now, the other thing that I want you to think about is your network. Okay. Now, your network is going to be very important, because as an independent, it can be a lonely journey. I found that in the very beginning, it was a lonely journey, even though I was very much involved in networking, and I would see professionals from other disciplines, all other, like people in trades, people in the finances. I was seeing them every week. But nobody was on the journey that I was on as a social worker. So having to figure business out as a social worker was very different, because those in other industries already had their connections. There was a way that things were done. It works, and people make a lot of money doing it, and they've just slotted in. And so I had to learn that and understand that for myself as somebody in the social work industry, and create it for myself, which has been fun. But again, it was a lonely journey. And so I had to be very intentional about where my support was coming from and who my support network was. So I certainly have social workers in my, my arsenal, but I also have people who are not related to social work that are in business, and just friends. generally and family generally that don't necessarily run a business, but who are a listening ear and support. So I have kind of I have different structures and different streams of people that I can reach out to when I need them for different things. And that is going to be super important. Now, the research tells us that we have at least 1,000 contacts in our mobile phone. Okay, and even from our phone, if you're old school like me, I have contacts in my phone, but I also duplicate that into a diary, an address book, just in case, something goes wrong with the phone, because it's technology and that happens sometimes. And so, between those two, I certainly have a lot of contacts, and you are likely to have the same. And so it's a good idea to go through that contact list and just earmark people that are really good supporters for you, people that are reliable, people that are trustworthy. And when I say trustworthy, I don't just mean in terms of honesty and credibility. I mean in terms of emotionally safe, because you're going to need a lot of emotional support as you go through this journey to check things out and to bounce things off against people. And so it's important that you've got people who are reflective and can share with you, but who are kind and loving in the way in which they do that. So that's going to be important in terms of your support network. And again, you're going to want to refer to your notebook, your workbook about this, and also the summary and checklist sheet, so you can go through it and work through some of those key tasks that we've spoken about just now. Now, the final thing that we're going to talk about in terms of moving forward is accountability. Okay, now this is the big thing. You might remember yesterday I mentioned that I've worked with a small group of social workers, helping them to set goals, track their goals, and to get organized in their work life. So it's getting on top of their caseloads. I've got a whole system for that called Get Organized, the secret system to getting and staying on top of your caseloads. That in tandem with the goal plan and journal, I just did a month-long mentoring session with them, which was fabulous. We had a great time. And the one thing that came up was the accountability, having me there and having somebody that they had to check in with about what they were doing, kept them going, because us social workers, we don't find it hard to get really busy. And it can be really hard to find the time to do some of the tasks, which some of them struggled with, because life was getting in the way, whether it was a leak at home in the kitchen, or whether it was being on duty and getting an influx of cases. Things were happening that were out of their control. And so they sometimes struggle to actually get the tasks done and the activities done. However, they always found the time to turn up, which is ironic, right? Because they're 24 hours in a day, and we sleep for about 5 to 8 of those hours. So the rest of those hours is time that we're up and doing stuff, which tells me that there is plenty of time to get things done. And the proof of the pudding was that they were turning up. So they did have the time to do the activity, but having that hand holding and that accountability was the game changer for them. And we all need that from time to time. So it just gave them that push, it gave them that drive, it gave them that encouragement, it gave them the motivation. I was able to remind them that they're able to do it, and, validated them. So that really spurred them on to keep going. So out of the session, they were able to get some tasks done when they could. The thing that I heard from them all the time was that the talk was really helpful. It was motivational, and it got me right back on track. And so that's something that we need as people that are trying to become independent. With everything you've got going on work-wise, in your personal life, it's really important that you have accountability. So I always say one of the key things is to make sure that you let somebody know that you're going to become independent. You're going to earmark, and I put this in the workbook, particular individuals that you need to inform them of. And I want you to set a date. Set a date to become independent. Now, that might seem scary, but the date that we're talking about is not necessarily in 6 months' time. It's not necessarily in a year's time. I could think of one social worker I did a consultation with very recently, and she had an idea to become independent. I think it was at the end of the year. And this was last month, I think it was last month or the month before I had this consultation with her. And she wants to become independent by the end of the year. But she's actually quite involved in a number of things personally, but also with work being the way it is. She's a mother also. So she has a lot of commitments. And one of the things I said to her was, be realistic. Your desire and your yearning to become independent is absolutely brilliant. And you want to keep that fire alive. And the fire will be kept alive as you work through the process of goal setting and being productive, using the goal planner and the Get Organized system, and actually being able to work through the steps that we've identified for you. But having it in December, planning to go in December, is a tall order given everything you've got on your plate. It's far better that you underestimate and over deliver. Yeah, it's better to over deliver all the time. So you do not want to overestimate and over deliver. It allows you that space to do that. If you actually underestimate what steps you need to take, then what you're going to experience is failure, because you're going to get to December and realize, actually, I've got all these other tasks that I hadn't accounted for, life happening, pandemics happening, a leak. That was another social worker situation. She had a leak, unexpectedly. All these things that happen in life that we're not expecting and we don't consider will happen down the line. So we spoke about her actually having a date for summer next year. And that's a more realistic timescale. And we've already started her on the process. And we're going to be continuing as we have consultations and as she works through the systems that I've got in place. So that's the thing that I want you to, that's the last thing in terms of you moving forward, is setting a date, being really realistic about that date, but being committed and being intentional. And that means talking to people who you trust. So some of those people might be those in your support network that you're going to rely on, and allowing them to keep you accountable and checking in and remaining part of the community that will encourage you and support you. So for those of you that have started this journey, and if you're watching this on the replay or you're watching this live for the very first time, then, go back and look at the replays. I want to remind you also, which I forgot to say right at the beginning, is that I'm streaming to a number of platforms. And so the only place that I'll be able to see the comments is actually in Facebook. So please do put any comments there. And you can also email me. It's hello@nicolemlouis.com, and I will gladly answer any questions that you have about what we've covered in this 3-day challenge. Now, before we kind of wrap up, I just want to share with you, I mentioned for those of you that have registered, you will, of course, get the replay. You've got the 5 simple steps, and you've got the transition into independent social work status directly to your inbox. So if you haven't already registered, it's not too late. You can do so. After today, these videos that have been, these live streams are going to be coming down likely, but you will get the replays if you have registered. And more importantly, you'll get the workbooks, because it's the workbooks that have the most value. Not that what we're doing here isn't. I mean, I'm happy to keep them up, but I want you to work through the workbooks. That's the most important thing. So with that said, I just want to share with you how you're able to move this forward. I would suggest that if you are a social worker in statutory social services and you're still kind of working in the trenches on the front line, I'd encourage you to get the Get Organized and the Goal Planner. I actually have a special bundle that I'm going to be providing for those who are interested and serious in being able to plan their independence. It's not necessarily a quick fix or a short-term goal. It's something that is a long-term goal likely, so that we can be realistic, remembering to overestimate. so that you make sure you achieve your goal. But it will include the goal planner journal. It will include the Get Organized system. It will include the boot camp, business starter for social workers, which I did last year, the 3 workbooks, which cover what we have covered here, but in a lot more detail. It's about 35 pages worth of workbooks in that. That will be also on offer for you, and providing that bundle, you will also receive 4 hours of mentoring from me, which is over the course of a month, to really keep you on target, keep you on track, and help you iron out any difficulties that you may be having, helping you to make the system fit for your particular life and where you're at. What else does it include? Because I've got quite a few things. It's going to include the webinar as well, a how-to webinar, which is about 45 minutes, showing you how to use the system, the goal planner, and journal, so that you're maximizing its use really and able to get the best out of it. It's what I used when I was doing the mentoring with these social workers, and it works brilliantly. You'll also get the business lockdown, which is a 3-part series that I do to accompany every goal planner, and the content changes according to what's happening that season for that quarter. So at the time of this challenge, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So it's stuff related to the pandemic, what you can do personally and professionally to help what's on offer out there, and how you can stay motivated. So that's there at the moment. And you'll also get free shipping wherever you are in the world on the Goal Plan and Journal. You'll get the free replays. You'll get the replays of all of our sessions, our 4 sessions, mentoring sessions. You'll also get an end of mentoring action plan, so that you're really clear about what things you should be working on. And to top it off, because there are quite a number of goodies in that whole package, you're actually going to get a checklist that tells you exactly what you should be working on first, second, third, fourth, etc. Okay, so that's going to be on offer. And for those of you that have registered, you're going to get an exclusive discount on that package. So I'm super excited to be sharing that with you. And that again has come about as a result of the work that I've done with these social workers who found it so helpful in moving forward in their goals, and just getting things organized, because life is really hectic. When you're working on the front line in social services, it can just be so difficult to manage personal life, and there's just sometimes it feels like there's no window of space to work towards independence or crushing other goals that you have created, whether that's to exit social work, to do something completely different. So I'm hoping that this will be of benefit to you, and I'm super excited to help you on your journey. If you haven't already connected with me on my business page here on Facebook or on LinkedIn, or even subscribed to the YouTube channel, then you can do that. And again, email me if you've got any questions. It's hello@nicolemlouis.com. And I thank you for joining me on this 3-day challenge. The time has gone very, very quickly, but I have enjoyed it. It's been good to dive into this content again and share it to a wider platform. And I'm hoping that it's benefited you. So do share as well with any of your colleagues and friends who are social workers, who are experiencing some of the things that we've spoken about, and who would like to experience the things that we've spoken about in terms of independence. So thank you for your listening ear, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.